Good afternoon, this is Carol Stimmel in the Engerati studio, and we're European Utility Week 2016, and today we're talking with Rémy Garaude, who is the Manager of European Affairs with ENEDIS. So thank you so much for being here. You have another job, as we were talking just before we got on camera. You are also coordinating a project, the InterFlex project, which is a very interesting project, and I'm hoping you can walk us through a little bit of the background of that project, how long it's been around, how it got its start, and then let's dig into a little bit of the details around that if we could.
Sure. So InterFlex is a really new project as it's not started. Yeah, it will start in January 2017. So InterFlex is a European project granted by the European Commission. It's an H2020 project, which is the R&D framework from the European Commission. And in the InterFlex project, 5 DSOs, like ENEDIS, decided to put together the expertise to bring one common answer to a European ambition, which is low carbon energy, and how low carbon energy could impact or change the network.
Okay. All right, so this is great. I've had several very interesting interviews over the course of this show, and one of the commonalities I'm starting to hear is that there's the partnerships among groups that may not have always worked together before, just not for any reason, but there wasn't this sort of large-scale problem you were looking at. So you're solving a problem with you said 5 other partners? Yeah. And then, so if you could say how you're trying to solve the problem, sort of what is the theory towards trying to solve the problem that you're going to begin with?
Yeah. What is for all the GSOs in Europe and in the InterFlex, we are working with Enexis, for example, in the Netherlands, with Avacon in Germany, with E.ON in Sweden, and with Czech Distribuce in the Czech Republic, and of course with ENEDIS. We are all facing the same difficulties. The game is changing dramatically.
Absolutely.
There is electric vehicles we need to connect on the grid. There is the new renewable penetration. For example, in France, 95% of the renewables are connected to the distribution grid.
Right.
That's really a change maker.
Really, that's stressful on the grid, the physical grid.
Yes, the physical grid could face some constraints.
Right.
And in the InterFlex project, we do believe that the flexibilities could help the grid operator to solve the constraints. That's the heart of the InterFlex.
That's a huge problem. Huge problem.
Could be.
Yeah. So I heard a speaker say, if you bought, a combustion engine vehicle, a gas-powered vehicle in the past few years, you're going to be bummed. You're going to be sad because EVs are coming on that fast. I think he even said you wasted your money. I mean, are you seeing that kind of aggression in the EV market, that sort of uplift?
Yes, in France we are seeing it, and in the Netherlands, for example, it's really booming. So for our colleague from Enexis, it's quite a challenge to manage such a new load connected to the grid. What we all have to keep in mind is that with the renewables, with the electric vehicles, we all need the grid to support it. We are used to saying in ENEDIS, if there is no grid, there will be no party.
That's right.
Everybody wants to party with the electric vehicles, with the renewable, but the grid is really the cornerstone of this energy transition. So that's why with a project like InterFlex, we would like to highlight that the grid is really key for this transition.
So, are you going to build out and implement and deploy this project, or are you doing research? What is the kind of deliverable that we'll see from this project?
In the InterFlex project, we will have 5 demo sites. 1 in France, 1 in the Netherlands, 1 in the Czech Republic, 1 in Germany, and 1 in Sweden.
Okay.
And on the demo site, we will test on the field real technologies. It's not R&D, it's not completely mature, it's in between.
Right.
We will assess the maturity before the project and after the project. The idea is to have technology that could be replicated right after the project. Okay. We would like to at the end, the outcome of the project, if everything goes fine, is to have turnkey solution ready to deploy all over Europe or all over the world if possible.
We used to do a lot more science experiments, but because of this grid stress that you've just been describing, we don't really, I mean, it's a big mind shift to get comfortable with going from kind of like this test to deployment so quickly. So can you, I don't know if it's too early to ask this, but can you tell me what kind of solutions you have in mind? What are some of these things that you might be rolling out very quickly? Just some examples.
For example, in France, the demo will be in Nice. In Nice, we will use batteries, lithium-ion batteries connected to the grid to see how the batteries and the flexibility of the batteries could help, for example, to manage the voltage outrange and to bring more flexibility to the grid. We'll test that. We will also interact with the heat networks and see how, if we better combine heat networks and electric network, we could solve the constraints, both on the grid network, on the electricity network when we have some electricity constraints, or on the heat network when there is some congestion on this kind of networks.
Well, you know, I think it's always been amazing to me how the industry has had to adapt because you know, it's always, well, the lights are turned on when I flip the switch, it's good. Why can't I have an electric vehicle and plug it in? But there's all sorts of power engineering problems, you know, distortion and harmonics and things like nobody really thinks about unless you're in this industry. And we've seen the problem in high penetration areas with circuit backfeeding and destroying assets, and it's a real critical problem. So you couldn't pick a more appropriate time to solve this problem. And I know that we'll all be looking to your project, InterFlex, to see how that goes. Will you be reporting it all along the way back to the EC in a public way that we could see what's going on?
Yes, the project will start 1st of January, and it's a 3 years project, and of course every year we will put on our website all the deliverables. That's the beauty of the European project.
Yeah.
Most of the deliverables are public, so everybody will be able to see and to read what we are doing in the InterFlex and in the demos to see what could be or what will be the next solution for grid operators like ENEDIS and our colleague from our European colleagues.
Are you working just with innovators, other European innovators? Are you looking for best-in-breed technologies, or what kind of technologies maturity are you looking at?
Of course, for such a project, we need to gather some other expertise coming from other partners. So in InterFlex, there is 5 DSOs, but at the end there is 20 partners. We are working with GE, for example, with Siemens, with Schneider. So they are the equipment manufacturer. We are working with them to create, to develop the best technology possible.
So you're going to be helping them get better too. They're not just showing up with something and put it in. You're actually going to be working in collaboration with each of these technologies. That's really
we are in a partnership with them. They have some existing technologies. We have some constraints or ambition on the grid, but together we try, working very closely, to create something better together. And there is also some research center involved, because we need this scientific view on what we are doing to be sure that we are on the good way.
Yeah, and because of it's under the auspices of this funding scenario, the entire world will be able to benefit from your work. So that's great. Good luck with your InterFlex project. And Rémy, it's nice to see you again this year. Thanks for stopping by and saying hi and talking to us.